Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into the sometimes frustrating world of online shopping.
Frustrating, yes, but with some fascinating economics behind it.
Exactly. We're going to explore how companies use something called obfuscation to nudge, maybe even trick us into spending more than we planned.
We'll be looking at search and obfuscation in a technologically changing retail environment.
By Glenn and Sarah Fisher Ellison, right?
That's the one.
The title sounds a little dry, but trust me, it gets really interesting.
It really does. It dives into those moments when you think you've found a fantastic deal online.
But then somehow you end up spending way more than you expected, like when you buy a cheap printer.
And then realize the ink cartridges cost a fortune.
Yeah, a classic example, right?
It is. That's obfuscation in action. Companies making it harder to compare real costs, especially when you add in those hidden extras.
Which seems strange. Isn't the internet supposed to make comparison shopping easier?
You'd think so, but companies are getting creative. Remember the concept of search costs?
Search cost.
Every click, every confusing product description, it all adds up. That's time and effort on your part, and companies can exploit that.
So even online, the harder it is to find a good deal, the more power the seller has.
Exactly. Economist Peter Diamond actually modeled this back in 1971.
Wow, that long ago.
Yep. He showed how even small search costs can lead to much higher prices. Think of it like going from a busy farmer's market where everyone's competing on price to a lone roadside stand where the seller can basically charge what they want.
I get it. Okay, so what are some real-world examples of these obfuscation tactics? Is it more than just those hidden fees?
Oh, it's much more subtle than that. Think about the last time you tried to buy something simple like ibuprofen on Amazon.
Oh, don't remind me.
Oh.
So many options.
Right. Name brand, generic, tablets, capsules, liquid gels, endless variations.
I spent way too long trying to figure out which one was actually the best deal.
That's intentional. It's called product proliferation. That overwhelming choice is a form of obfuscation itself. Then there's the mattress industry.
Ugh, the mattress industry. Every brand seems to have its own way of naming and describing things.
Exactly. It makes it impossible to figure out how they actually compare. It's intentional product differentiation designed to make comparison shopping nearly impossible.
Giving them more control over pricing.
Exactly. But maybe the sneakiest tactic is add-on pricing.
We touched on that earlier. What's so bad about it? Can't you just, say no to those extras?
You can, of course, but add-on pricing isn't just about making money on the extras. It's about strategically manipulating the market. The Ellison and Ellison paper goes deep on this.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What do they say about add-on pricing that's so interesting?
Picture this. You walk into a camera shop, drawn in by a crazy low price on a specific camera.
Okay, I've been there.
But here's the thing. They make their real money on the marked up accessories they then pressure you to buy.
Oh, you'll need an extra battery and a case, of course.
Exactly. And this isn't just a brick-and-mortar store thing. It happens online all the time. But here's the fascinating part. Add-on pricing doesn't just boost profits on those extras. It can actually drive up prices for everyone.
Now, that doesn't seem fair. How does that work?
Well, think about it. There are two types of shoppers, broadly speaking.
Okay.
You've got your bargain hunters, always focus on the lowest price.
Makes sense.
And then you have those who are, shall we say, a little more willing to spend for upgrades and convenience.
I guess I fall into both categories sometimes. Depends what I'm buying, I guess.
We all do. That's what makes us so clever. With add-on pricing, those rock-bottom prices on the base product aren't meant to attract everyone. They can be a way to actually discourage the most price-sensitive shoppers.
Why would a company want to discourage shoppers, especially the ones who are looking for a deal?
Because those bargain hunters, the ones who jump at every price drop, they're actually a headache for companies trying to maximize profit.
Really?
Yeah, they erode profit margins and make it harder to sell those high-profit upgrades.
So by keeping that base price super low, they're basically filtering out the people who are most sensitive to price changes.
Precisely. And it leaves them with a pool of customers more likely to buy upgrades, less likely to abandon their cart if the price jumps up a bit. The Ellisons call this adverse selection. It's powerful.
Adverse selection. Sounds kind of ominous.
It is, in a way. It means companies can strategically attract the customers who are least sensitive to price.
The ones most likely to spend. So those amazing deals we see, they might only be for the most basic version of a product.
Exactly. The real money is made on those who upgrade. And the Ellisons have the data to back this up. In their study of online computer component pricing, they found something really interesting when they looked at memory modules.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Last time, we were talking about adverse selection, this sneaky tactic where companies use add-on pricing to basically target certain types of shoppers.
We left off talking about those memory modules and how a lower price on the basic module actually boosted sales of the upgraded ones.
Yeah, it was almost like that low price was bait, luring in people who are then more likely to spend extra. But how does that actually play out, like, in terms of the overall pricing?
The study actually looked at something called price elasticity, basically a way to measure how sensitive demand is to changes in price.
Okay, price elasticity. I vaguely remember that from economics class, but refresh my memory.
Yeah.
What did they find?
So they found that demand for those basic low-quality memory modules was super elastic. Even a tiny price increase led to a big drop in sales, meaning companies couldn't charge much more than their cost for those basic modules without losing tons of customers.
Right, because if you're just looking for the absolute cheapest option, you can easily compare prices and switch to a competitor if someone raises their prices.
Exactly. But here's the key difference. Demand for the higher quality modules was much less elastic. Even when the price went up, people were still willing to buy them.
So companies could get away with a much higher markup on the upgraded modules because those customers weren't as worried about those price changes.
You got it. That's adverse selection in action. They can attract customers who are less price sensitive, and then bam, they can charge more for those premium products. It's not just about selling you the upgrade, it's about shifting the whole market towards higher prices.
Wow. I never realized how much strategy goes into something as, seemingly simple as pricing. Makes you wonder if there's anything we can do about this, especially with technology, making it even easier to offer all these upgrades and add-ons.
You're right, technology definitely plays a role. Think about all those freemium games. The base game is free,
Uh-huh.
but then they nickel and dime you with all those in-app purchases.
Oh, I know those games all too well. My kids are masters of those microtransactions.
There you go. That's a perfect example of how technology is just giving more and more opportunities for this add-on pricing. Or think about airline tickets. You used to just buy a ticket, and it included, well, everything. Now you have to pay extra for baggage, seat selection, early boarding.
It's like they unbundled everything to make that base price seem lower, but then you end up paying more anyway. So if technology is part of the problem, could it also be part of the solution?
Now, there's the million-dollar question. We talked about how the internet can make price comparison easier, but it also gives companies more tools to, shall we say, get creative? Regulation and intermediaries can help, but they have their limitations too.
Okay, let's talk about that. What kind of regulations could actually help level the playing field?
Well, one idea is scoring rules. It's like a formula that takes into account all the different costs and features of a product so you get a single comparable score, like the APR on loans, which lets you compare interest rates easily.
So instead of trying to decipher all those different add-on costs and features, we just look at one number.
That's the idea. Sounds simple, right?
Yeah, it does.
But creating those formulas can get really complicated. Like, how would you create a score that accurately reflects the value of, say, a laptop? Processing speed, screen size, battery life, and so many other features.
Not to mention those less tangible things like brand reputation, customer reviews. Tough to quantify.
Exactly. And even if you could create this super comprehensive scoring system, there's always a risk of companies gaming it, right? They could prioritize the features that boost their score, even if those features aren't that important to most people.
So scoring rules might not be the perfect solution. What about the idea of, like, mandating a standard version of a product?
That can be tricky too. For things like gasoline, it works great. There's a clear standard, regular unleaded. But for something like an airline ticket,
Right, like we talked about mandating a price that includes one checked bag. But couldn't the airlines just make that included bag tiny?
exactly, to encourage people to pay for a bigger one. Or think about computers. What would a standard computer even look like? Needs and preferences are so diverse.
That's true. So what about standardized menus? Could that be more effective for making comparisons easier?
Standardized menus can definitely help. If everyone's presenting their prices in the same clear format, it's much easier to see who's offering the best deal.
Like comparing apples to apples instead of trying to figure out all these different formats and hidden fees?
Precisely. But companies are, well, they're adaptable. They could still try to differentiate their products in ways that make comparisons tricky.
Even with standardized menus.
Even with them, like adding a ton of extra features that don't really matter just to make their product seem unique.
Or just doubling down on the marketing. Make their product seem higher quality, even if the underlying products are really similar.
Exactly. It's a constant back and forth between regulators and businesses.
Okay, so what about regulating the prices of those add-ons directly? Like, is that even feasible?
It can be effective, but it's a tough balance. Price caps that are too low could just discourage companies from offering those add-ons at all.
Right.
And how do you even determine a fair price, especially in a market that's constantly changing? It's not easy.
It sounds like there's no easy answer to this whole obfuscation problem. It's complex with a lot of moving parts. So where does that leave us? Are we just at the mercy of these companies and their, constantly evolving tactics?
Not at all. There are things you can do to be a more savvy shopper, to avoid those traps. Remember, knowledge is power. Now that you're aware of these tactics, you're already ahead of the game.
Okay, I'm feeling a little more empowered already. So what are your top tips for navigating this whole complex world of online shopping?
Well, first and foremost, resist those impulse buys. Do your research before you even think about clicking that add to cart button.
Okay, so no more shopping on autopilot.
Exactly. Compare prices from different retailers, read reviews, make sure you actually understand what you're getting.
Got it. Channel my inner researcher.
Exactly. And be wary of those tempting upgrades.
The upgrades, yeah.
Before you click that upgrade button, ask yourself, do you really need it?
Okay,
Is it worth the extra cost, or are you just being swayed by that fancy marketing?
that's a good point. I'm definitely guilty of getting caught up in the moment and just going for that, premium option without really thinking about it. What else? Anything else we can do?
Don't be afraid to just walk away from a deal if something feels off. If you feel pressured, confused, or just don't trust the seller, abandon your cart and look elsewhere. There's no shame in that.
It's good to remember we have that choice.
Yeah.
We're not stuck with any one store.
Exactly. And remember, voting with your wallet is powerful. If a company is being sneaky or manipulative, take your business elsewhere. Support the companies that are upfront about their pricing.
I love that. We actually have more power than we realize. What about those price comparison websites and consumer review platforms?
Yeah,
Are those helpful?
absolutely. They're incredibly valuable tools. They've already done a lot of the hard work for you, so you don't have to start from scratch.
That's a huge time saver. Any other resources we should be aware of?
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. In parts 1 and 2, we dug into the world of online shopping and how companies use obfuscation to get us to spend more.
We talked about those hidden fees, the confusing product choices, and that whole psychology behind add-on pricing.
And some ways to fight back, being aware of the tricks, using price comparison sites and things like that.
But we left off on an interesting question, remember?
I do. Could technology itself actually be part of the solution to this problem?
Right. Seems a little ironic, right? Technology enables a lot of this obfuscation.
It does.
Uh-huh.
But could it also help us combat it?
Well, think about the rise of artificial intelligence. It's already transforming, well, almost everything.
Sure.
Healthcare, finance, everything. Could AI also change how we shop online?
I like where this is going. How could AI help us fight back against obfuscation?
Imagine AI-powered shopping assistants that analyze product listings.
Okay, yeah.
Identify those hidden fees and maybe even negotiate prices for you.
Wow, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Like having a personal shopping guru right in my pocket, protecting me from all those sneaky tactics.
Exactly. AI could also help personalize the shopping experience. Imagine a world where online stores actually recommend things based on your actual needs and preferences.
Not just algorithms pushing you toward things you don't need.
Exactly. No more wading through pages of irrelevant search results. No more choice overload.
That would be amazing.
And AI could even help create more transparency. Think of a tool that instantly compares prices and features across multiple retailers.
I like it.
Shows you the real cost of ownership, factoring in all those hidden fees and add-ons.
So AI could give us the power to make more informed choices.
Exactly. Put us on a more level playing field.
That's really exciting. So maybe technology isn't the enemy after all.
It depends how we use it, right? Technology is a powerful tool. It can be used for good or for, well, not so good.
It's up to us to make sure it's used to make online shopping fairer, more transparent.
Absolutely. Support companies developing those ethical AI solutions and hold accountable those who are using technology to, well, take advantage of people.
I'm feeling much more optimistic now. It's easy to get cynical about all this.
Yeah.
But it's good to remember we can actually shape how technology is used.
We absolutely can. And as we wrap up our deep dive into this whole world of obfuscation, I think there are a few key takeaways.
I'm all ears. What are the most important things we should remember?
First, awareness is key. Obfuscation is out there. Companies are constantly finding new ways to get us to spend more. Stay informed, pay attention to the details.
No more shopping on autopilot.
Exactly. Be a conscious, informed consumer.
Got it.
Second, Remember, you have choices. Don't feel pressured to buy something you don't need or that you don't understand. Do your research, compare prices, read reviews. Don't be afraid to walk away if something just feels wrong.
Right. And we have those tools and resources to help us fight back. The price comparison sites, consumer protection agencies, and hopefully soon, those AI-powered shopping assistants.
Exactly. And finally, I think the most important takeaway is have hope. It's a challenge, but technology itself might actually hold the key to creating a more transparent, fair online marketplace.
It's an interesting time to be a consumer, that's for sure. We have this incredible opportunity to really reshape the online shopping experience.
You do.
And it's up to all of us to,
Uh.
demand that change and support those who are making it happen.
Stay informed, stay savvy, and most importantly, stay engaged.
That's all for this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for listening.